Well, hello. Welcome if this is your first time. And if you are returning, welcome back to our channel. Today is going to be a great day because I wanted to isolate some time to elaborate more on WGU's pre-licensure BSN program. The first part of this video is going to be just about program information, and then I'm going to do a second video on transfer, application checklist, and all of those things. So let's get started. Hello. Well, we're going to have an intermission at the beginning of this video, and it's just to cover our legal ramifications, and that is going to be a disclaimer that will appear on the screen, and I'm just going to read the disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed in this video are my own, which are not directed at a specific entity or party, and do not reflect the views or opinions of any affiliates, corporations, employers, institutions, or organizations. Now that we have that out the way, let's get into the video. Okay, so for my previous video that I did the course tracker back when I was at the previous school, have the same similar initials, just gonna say that. Basically, on that video, I stated that although I was in a different school, WGU is the best program in the nation for working adults, for stay-at-home parents, for anyone that's taking care of someone and have a bulk of their time that's cannot be in a traditional nursing program. WGU is that program for you. Now, since I had to come back and rejoin the application process, I have learned so much more, obviously, and things I want to share with you that I didn't know that probably would have helped me make a decision whether I was going to get the scholarship or not. And just to kind of explain that, I started my process with WGU really in November 2023. And then I actually officially applied July 2024, like turned in my application, and then revisited after my horrible situation with the other program. I reapplied May 2025. And I'm just going to say this, I started the process. I had everything I needed by May 2025. And by maybe like 2 weeks later, I found out that I needed to take college algebra. They were not going to accept my business econ math, which is higher than college algebra. So I did a Sophia Learning. We'll get into that later. Course that took me literally maybe 5 to 6 hours. Submitted that transcript right away. I did my essay. I already had the T's. So literally my application was ready by mid to end of May, and I received my acceptance letter in June. However, by that time, September had filled up. In May, I was going for August, but by that time, September had filled up in my area, and so I had to opt out for October 1st. And so we're just gonna let that sit there. So let's just talk about why WGU Pre-Licensure BSN program is best for working adults, career changers, anyone that have to do anything that cannot attend a traditional school. I've even had some success stories since I've been through the orientation process that I've heard of a student having two jobs while maintaining their home life and being able to do this degree on time within the 2.5 years that it is required for every student, no matter if you have a master's, a doctorate, if you're changing over into nursing, everyone has a 2.5 year stint. There is no accelerating the nursing part. Okay, let's get into the program. So this list of states here, you'll see if you're in these states, have established a residency in the states, and you are actually, you know, live in these states, then you can that at least start your process. What you would need to do basically is you have to live within a state, you have to live within 60-mile radius of a district within that state. So I'm just going to give you an example here of Texas. Let me show you all the rest of the states before I go to Texas. As you can see here in Texas, they have multiple districts, and that's what they call districts. When you are filling out your application, it will say, what is your district that you're applying for? So out of this list, as you can see, there's, if you don't know a lot about Texas, I'll just tell you there's a central, you have a central location, you have a southern location like Houston, and even further south, San Antonio, and then if we come back up to the east, you have Lufkin, and you have a little bit in Beaumont, is somewhat like southeast Texas. And then you have the Dallas area, and then you have El Paso going further west out there. And Midland and Odessa is like on your way to Dallas from from El Paso. You would go through Midland. So that's like West Texas. And so this is a great example of various districts within a state. And you would have to live 60 miles within one of the districts or your selected district that you were applying for when you initially submit your application. So what that means is I have to live within 60-mile radius from Houston if Houston is my home city where I've already established residency in. Okay. Now, speaking of Houston, with all of that being said, there's two different things you have to consider. You have to consider the clinical rotations. So this is a times within the 2.5 year program, and that's if you bring in all your credits, all the credits they allow you to bring in, it's still going to be 2.5 years. But you have to, there's going to be 7 times that you have to go into clinicals. The beauty part of this program is, unlike a traditional program where you have to go throughout a term, like 3 times to go to clinicals, at WGU, those 7 times, what they'll do is within that term, they will give you a 3-week window to say, hey, you have to do so many shifts within the 3-week period. So you literally get, like, I'm just gonna say mother baby, you would get that done in third or fourth term, and then you will have a month, 3 weeks to a month notice that, hey, you're gonna work these shifts during these 3 weeks. You either do 1 week on, 1 week off, and then 1 week on, or it might be back to back. But that is the beauty part of these clinicals. Now let's get into lab. So within these states, we have to go to lab, and there's 2 times within the 2.5 years you have to go to lab. And when you go to lab, you're actually going to lab for 4 days, and more than likely you have to travel unless you already live in the state in the city. So when I said, speaking of Houston, Houston is one of those cities right here that is within the region. So you see here, every student, WGU pre-licensure student that is in these states here, will have to commute or come to Houston, Texas, to actually participate in the lab for that week. I would just say go ahead and say a week. So think about that. You have traveling expenses, flying or driving. You have hotel expenses, or if you have someone that live in the Houston area. But those are the things that you have to consider, and that's only 2 times. So you do it, one for the basic and one for the intermediate skills lab. So that's something to think about. The other states, just so the other regions, for these regions here in the green, they have to go to Orlando, Florida. For the regions here in the royal blue, they have to go to Indianapolis, Indiana, as you can see here. And then in this dark blue here, these states in the dark blue, they have to go to Kansas City, Missouri. Okay. And then over here in the Utah, Idaho, and Nevada area, you would go to the main hub, which is Salt Lake City, Utah. And that's where that lab is. So those are 2 things you have to consider when you're specifying on your district, I'm sorry, your application, what district you're in, and then, being prepared for those 2 different times to come in. So I would say that's probably the biggest thing I wanted to mention, especially correlating with your application. Each term, there are 6 months. So when we say, let me go to my Excel spreadsheet here. When we say that there is a term, you're looking at, like, I'm starting October 1st. That term is going to end March 31st of the 2026. So WGU has, again, everyone has to take these classes. I don't care if you have a doctorate degree in healthcare or a master's in healthcare or even a bachelor's, because I have a bachelor's of business, but everyone still has to take the WGU critical thinking, WGU nutrition, pharmacology and med dosage calc, and foundations of nursing. Okay. And so with that being said, that's how these terms break down into 2.5 years. So if I look at this, this is a spreadsheet that I'm definitely going to give you access to. Major Mash is who actually initially designed it and created it. I just kind of made it my own so I can share it with you all in the community. And I'm definitely going to give him Alex is Major Mash. So if you wanted to, follow Alex, he has about 3 or 4 videos on WGUs, specifically their nursing, their RN to BSN, their pre-licensure nurse. So I definitely program. So I definitely wanted to kick a shout out to him, and I'm going to share my version of his spreadsheet with him so he could see what I did with it. But as you can see here, he offers discounts for you if you are in the pre-nursing segment of WGU. And so just as I continue on with the clinical, so I want you to think of this as I'm coming in with all my credits. And this is where I start. I start right here on the pre-licensure 4 courses, which equates to 12 credit hours that I would have to start. Everyone would have to start. Okay. So that's your first term, official first term of WGU. But technically in the WGU world of pre-licensure program, this is considered the last term of the pre-nursing program segment of the degree. The nursing or the clinical nursing segment of the degree starts immediately after that. So if you're looking at my case, I would start my first nursing term, but my second WGU term on April 1st, 2026, and that would go through September 29th, 2026. In that first term of nursing, I will go to my region's clinical lab simulation for 4 days. I will get that schedule about 2 to 3 weeks after the term starts. So after April 1st, I'll probably get it mid-April to almost late April to find out, okay, you would be going to clinicals in the next, maybe a couple of months. I will link down below Brittany. She is awesome. She gives so much information. That's how I'm able to give you all some information. So I'll make sure you can reference her videos. But basically what Brittany stated is when she started her second term in October 2nd, she was going to lab the week before Christmas, just to give you a timeline of when you possibly would go to lab, your in-person lab, and you do the in-person lab, as you can see, based on this sequence, because they're really big on the sequence here. As soon as you finish lab, and as soon as you finish, of course, assessment, your health assessment course, you're looking at your clinical rotation. And this adult health one is similar to assisted living, or it would be med surg. So it's either going to be an assisted living facility, long-term care rehab facility, or you could go, depending on your region and your district clinical rotations, it could be a smaller hospital, regional hospital for you to get your adult health one clinical rotations done. As you can see here, I made sure I listed based on Brittany's information. Again, I'm gonna reference her video. When you go to adult health one, you're looking at working three 12-hour shifts in 1 week, and then it's within a 3-week period. So the first week you would work three 12-hour shifts. You might be off that second week, and then the third week you work three 12-hour shifts. Now, you won't find out if it's days or nights until 3 weeks prior to you going to your clinical rotation. So 3 weeks or a month prior to you going to your clinical rotation, you will get your schedule, so you can work things out with your manager. If you own your own business, you can work things out with your clients. But yes, it would be you doing three 12-hour shifts 1 week and three 12-hour shifts the second week within the 3-week period. And as you can see, that's a total of 72 clinical hours for the adult health one. And if we keep going here, once you get out of your second term with WGU, then you go into your third term at WGU, but that again is the second term of the nursing cohort. That's the best way I can put that. So we have after another 6 months, right? So we're in this third 6 months that we've been at WGU, following this cycle here, and that would be considered almost a year, right? So for me, that would be October 1st of 2026. I would be going into my intermediate nursing skills, which again is 4 days in person at my region's lab simulation center. And then after I finish that and I pass everything, then I would get into adult health 2. And as you can see, adult health 2 would be the same thing. 6 12-hour shifts within a 3-week period. Okay. Then also in that same term, after I finish that, and I think that is truly like a hospital med surg adult health too, if I'm not mistaken. But after I finish that, then I go into women's and children's nursing, and that is 5 12-hour shifts within a 3-week period. So you would be attending that hospital or that preceptor, following that preceptor for 5 12-hour shifts for women and children. Then, you complete this. This is a paper-based type of class. Once you complete everything and you get everything ready to go, you're now entering, for me, that would be April 2027. I would be entering my fourth term at WGU, and it would be mental health nursing. As you can see, I will do 4 12-hour shifts, and then I would do another 4 12-hour shifts in a community health, where I believe you get a list, or you approach your mentor and your clinical instructor on what community health opportunities you may have in your area, based on their list, right? Based on the list that they provide. So you can select that and decide. I think Brittany made a comment on one of her videos that she did 2 12-hour shifts at like a food bank, and then the other 2 12-hour shifts at a addiction center, like a rehab addiction center. So you can decide what your community health, based on the list that's given, what you're going to select. And then, like I said, it would be 4 12-hour shifts within a 3-week period. Okay. And then as you're approaching your final term with WGU, and your final term, of course, of the nursing, as you can see here for adult health 3, we'll go with the standard of 6 12-hour shifts. And that should be the more advanced. You also see here that you have advanced skills lab, that is a virtual lab. And there, it's like a simulation that they would give you. I believe you communicate with your instructor, like doing a debriefing and then a offboarding briefing. I can't remember what the what the second one is called. I know the initial is the debriefing with your clinical instructor, and then she somewhat just check your assessments and all of that virtually. And so that's what the final term you would do. But I definitely want to get into this nursing role transition course. As you can see, it's going to be 11 consecutive 12-hour shifts within a 5-week period. So 11 consecutive shifts. So definitely be prepared for that. Because if you're working, or even, own your own business, that is a lot of shifts back to back. And so you just definitely have to be prepared. So that is how the program works. As far as once you're in, you finish your application, you're in the door. This on the top here are all the courses that WGU will allow you to transfer in. And as you can see, it's 15 courses, and the total amount of credit hours are 49. And so that's the maximum you can turn in. WGU have partnerships with, of course, community colleges and state universities, but they also have partnerships with these independent educational platform companies. And so study.com is really big with WGU. They have like literally an outline that you can see, and I'll just click here so you can see on the transfer. This is strictly on WGU website, as you can see, and this is the transfer pathway agreement with the study.com. So it literally breaks down what each course and what options you have on study.com. recently study.com just stopped doing their actual proctor exams. So it's made it a lot more convenient. But what I will say about study.com is they have a lot of modules. They have a lot of lessons. Like for instance, here on the uh, uh, communications, for an example, communications have 104 lessons. But what happens with that is you pretty much have videos and you have videos and you have activities to go with it, as well as quizzes. And so if you knock out all your quizzes with your, of course, looking at your material and your videos, you can get through the material and take the exam. But like for Patho, for instance, Patho, this is the only like study.com type of situation that allows students to transfer in Patho. Patho has 195 lessons on study.com. And so what that means is the best advice that I'm gonna link this college advisor. I didn't even know study.com had college advisors. So I was like, oh, that's cool. But anyway, study.com's college advisor mentioned when you have a lot of lessons on study.com, do the placement test at the beginning. So if you know just a little bit of that material, that can knock out that particular lesson, like 195. Let's say you know a lot of the pathophysiology material and it knocks it down to 100 lessons based on what you score on that placement test at the very beginning. So that was like the tip that the college advisor gave. Again, I'm going to link her video below because she has a lot of things on there that give you good advice. What I like about Major Mash website is he actually provides you the 30% off the first 3 months. And if we're looking at every class, let's say you know, did not get to go to college, you just went straight from high school, start working, you've been building your career, now you're ready to go into nursing, and you maybe even taken maybe a English class, but really you have no credits. Or if you're in high school and you're coming straight in from high school, it's 15 courses that you can transfer in from study.com. And I just want you to see the timeline. Now, these timelines came from Alex that I showed you earlier. So you can definitely go to his channel and ask him questions about it. But I just wanted to lay it out for you very plain so you can see. Look at English. You get it done in 7 days, 7 to 8 days. Look at human growth and development. He estimates 5 days for both communications and for human development with psychology. Also, you have an intro to psychology, which is 3 days, as you can see. And on all of these types of courses, that's why I'm going to link the college advisor website. There's multiple courses that you can take. If we go back to the WGU, and I'm just going to show you the integrated history, really, I'm sorry, integrated science. See how integrated physical science has so many courses. I know that Alex recommends genetics because he likes it, but I think the college advisor recommended astronomy because it was only 84 lessons. So she was like, you can get by this like really quick. So it's just what you decide to do. The main thing I want to show you is I actually took, because as I stated earlier, they needed me to do the college algebra after I had everything submitted, my TEAS test, all of that. And they took my TEAS test from 2024. So they will allow you to, if you have TEAS and you took all of the sections, which that's the only way you can take TEAS, and your scores are good within their meeting their range, and you've taken it within the last 5 years of your start date, and I'm doing the air quotes, then you could actually don't have to worry about an entrance exam. Same thing with HESI. If you took all the sections that they want you to take and it's been within 5 years of your start date, and I say that meaning if you was to start the process now and go off the track that I had, more than likely they're placing people for December, and we're just in September, we're at the end of September. It may even be January. Again, it depends on your area. Some areas that have the like 2 locations, 2 districts, it's 2 cities in a district. Those states, it may not be as competitive, and you might be able to get in like the very next first of the month because they have they start sessions the first of every month. And so the good part about Brittany and I is I'm on the back end of her. She started April 1st, which, initially I was trying to go for that in 2024, but she started April 1st. So then her 6 months in September 29th. And so that's going to be somewhat mirror what I have being that I start October 1st. So just know that every term is 6 months. And you may work sooner, just like with this, right? So if you were to do all of these courses based on these recommendations from Alex, in his timeline that he has experienced, then you're looking at getting done with every single course that is considered a pre-nursing course for WGU that we could transfer in. You're looking at being done by a little over 2.5 months. And look at the price here. So if we price it at study.com has a college saver plan, which is only $95 a month, and you take 2 courses at a time. As you finish a course, let's say I take, and it's all highlighted in purple, yellow and purple. Let's say I take history. History is only going to take me 2 days to get done. And I'm also at the same time, I'm taking English, right? So English, I still have like 5 more days, but as soon as I get that history completed and I get that final grade, I can immediately log in or enroll in ethics in social sciences. So those 2 months, that's why it says the maximum based on the way study.com works, you're looking at only paying for 1 month if you follow this recommendation here. And then you see here in the dark navy blue with the white writing, these are all your sciences. And according to both the college advisor as well as Alex, the sciences that, especially the ones come with lab, you're more than likely going to take about, anywhere from 2 weeks, as far as 10 days to about 14 days to complete. Um, Especially those that have a lot of complex concepts, such as like pathophysiology, which is not a lab, but it has those complex concepts that you really have to get down. So that's why we paced it at like 14 days. But for micro, anatomy one, anatomy two, we have it down for like 10 days. In essence, you probably could get it done in 8 to 10 days. So with all of that, just that alone, and again, you can register for patho and micro because they kind of correlate with each other. If you register with those two, as soon as you get done with micro, you can just go ahead and go into anatomy one and go ahead and try to get that done. As soon as you finish with patho, you can go into anatomy two. So you have the ability and the flexibility to get these things done within 30 days. And if you have to go over, you just pay another $95 for the ones in the yellow, but the ones in the dark, the navy blue, um, for 2 classes at a time, though that price is $235. It's right here. And so we're looking at only 4 courses. Um, we're looking at 4 courses, and this maps out to about 48 days. So that's, a little over a month and a half. And so you're looking at paying for the 4 classes $470. Of course, this is all tax, without taxes. So if I look at, okay, I'm taking care of 7 courses in 31 days, and then I'm taking care of 4 major hitter science courses in a month and a half, a little over a month and a half, and I only paid $565 for 11 courses at study.com. I know, even in community college, I know I've had a bill at community college and I'm in district, right? And that bill for 2 classes or 3 classes is right at about $300. So, this is amazing. And this 575 is without um Alex discount. So if you were to click here and create an account with Alex discount, you can save even more. You can save 30% off of both the 95 and the 235 a month. Um, so that is something to consider. Let's say you have had study.com before to, practice your medical assistant or any type of certification that you've done. What Alex recommends is try to create a new account so that way you don't get the proctored exams. Because if you keep your existing account and just go back to study.com and use his discount, the problem with that is because it's an older account, you may still be forced to do the proctor exams. So it's better to use a different email, different account, and go ahead and try to take heed to no proctored exam. All the quizzes are open book. And if you make 100% on quizzes, more than likely you can just make the minimum of what 40 to 50% on those exams at study.com, and you've passed the class with an A because of your high percentages on your 100% on your open book quizzes. And like I said, pathophysiology, for an example, have 195 lessons, and each lesson ends with a quiz, a chapter quiz, or what they call the quizzes. So if you get all of that done, you can make an A, and the final is just what it is. Also, like I said about Sophia Learning, the 2 classes I took Intro to Sociology, but I didn't need it here at WGU. But just to give you an example of a humanities class, I literally got that done in 5 hours. The only reason why it's 3 days is because there are what they call they're papers pretty much, but I'll just show you here. On this class, you see how it has 12 quizzes, those challenges or whatever are called quizzes, and then you have 4 like module exams, and then this 2 touchstones. If you see touchstones on anything that's Sophia Learning, that means that it is a written paper for the most part. It does say project based, but the courses we're taking are just going to be more likely written assignments, such as like English or something like that. And so on sociology, it took me literally 5 hours, but because I had to wait on the instructors to grade my 2 touchstones, that's why I was in it for 3 days. So that's an example of that. The college algebra that I took, I literally, as you can see, I only had 22 quizzes and 6 module based, I would say chapter based quizzes. And as you can see, there's no final exam. That it's just those milestones and those challenges. And I got done with this, if we go back there, I got done with that in 5 hours. Literally, college algebra was done in 5 hours. So I did add this. This is different from Alex's initial example, but I did that because I know for a fact, like what I've taken at Sophia Learning, I was done with all the courses in like 7 days max, and I only paid $99. So that is something to consider as well. And then Alex shared his experience with Straighterline. Straighterline, they do have a membership, as you can see. You have to pay $99 per month for their membership, but then each course is $79. Based on Alex's prediction of what he did, he actually took this chemistry class, and it was not a lab with it, and WGU will take that. So I can show you here. It's no lab, WGU, and I'll just show you here on Straighterline. When you click on it, you click on your actual college and then click on the program that we're talking about. So this is straight line. And if we look at their chemistry for WGU, you see it's just one chemistry. And this is a chemistry that does not have a lab. And according to Alex, you can get this chemistry done in, he literally said a day. But I was thinking I'd rather play it safe and say 3 to 5 days. But he stated that he took a day. And so he was able to do chemistry, stats, and I believe college algebra. He was able to do like that, those three courses in like 48 hours with straighter line. Now I just recommend the business stats with straighter line and the chemistry because I just showed you with Sophia Learning. You do have the ability to get that done in 4 hours. I didn't take the algebra at straighter line. This is the straighter line one, but it does, Alex took it, and so he was saying it's really quick and easy to get done, less than a day, because he was able to do the three in one day, 1.5, 2 days. And all of these guys are based on, let me go back to here, all of these estimates per Alex. Now I know me for sure, these are legit just 5 hours because they're each course, but according to Alex's predictions, that's based on you just having isolated time, studying for 8 hours, like maybe on a Saturday, maybe if it's a holiday coming up and you have like 3 days off from work or 4 days off from work, and you're just like hitting it 8 hours straight to study based on these like 2 day assessments and 3 day assessments. Because again, with study.com, they have those lessons that are like, I think the smallest lesson I saw was astronomy. And it was, like I said, 84 credits. I'm sorry, 84 modules. And each module have the exam or quiz. So that is what I would recommend. So I turned his worksheet into a more like a tracker for you. So he had a couple of things on here, but I just kind of made it more succinct for our program. So like, for instance, if I have a sample here. So if I transferred everything in at the top, like I really did in real life, as they say, you'll see here that the ones that's completed based on me saying yes, was satisfied, I have 49 credits that I'm bringing in. And then down here below, if I go with, let's say it was March 31st, 2026, and I have just passed my fundamentals, foundation of nursing, and I have these others. Based on me passing, that would be 12 hours. So I'm totally bringing in the total max of pre-nursing credits are 61 units. And so this is how you would use the spreadsheet based on what you have. I also, in the nursing checklist, this is more of, let's say you have way too many courses that you want to take at WGU. I don't know why you would want to do that, but I'm just going to say that. So in this example here, the sample that I have here, the ones that say pass are the ones that like this example actually took at WGU, and the other ones that said transfer obviously is transferred. So if we look at this here, we'll see for the pre-nursing credits, they took 16. So they took 4 courses at WGU. And then if we look, no, that's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm sorry, I knew that the 16 was a little off, but that's 5 credits, right? Well, then they transferred 33 credits. So that's only pre-nursing. That's not including our nursing program over here. So transferring in all those credits, if you're transferring in 5 credits and you still have to do this, I want you to just look at that. So if this is a term, 12 credit hours is one term. This is that 2.5 years. That's that 6 months that they're saying half. That's pretty much this. But if you were to transfer or have to take at WGU 5 additional courses, now you're looking at a 3-year program, because you could take 4 to 5 courses in a semester or in a 6-month term. But I would highly recommend not doing that, because again, it's going to turn your degree program into 3 years. Now, if you say, I can't afford to, hey, Claudia, I can't afford to do, $921, and that's every course. That's too much money out of pocket. I need, financial aid. I need my loan money. I need my grant money. Then just know, if we go back here, just know that these courses that says pass, like these 16 hours here, that is going to be its own term. So you would have right here, you would have your first term, everyone takes critical thinking in their first term. So you would have critical thinking, and then you would have anatomy 1, and then you would have the humanities class, and you would have another science and this intro to psychology class, as well as the human development class. So the first term would only have 4. Then they would map out the remaining 3 or 2 to be in this term. And technically 2 is too many, because as you can see, the 12 hours, this could take you the whole 5 months, 5 to 6 months. Some people, it only takes about 2 months. So depending on your level of understanding for nutrition and pharmacology, and then fundamentals of nursing or foundation of nursing, which is these 3 courses will be HESI exit exams. And so you would take the nutrition HESI to exit. That's what your OA is, your objective assessment, with your final exam for the course. Pharmacology has a HESI exam, and then foundations of nursing has a HESI. So So that is the reason why they usually isolate it by itself. It's getting you introduced and getting your mind thinking like a nurse. But they usually have it by itself. So I would say you're probably adding, based on the scenario, 2 terms before you get to these HESI based courses, which would be your final term as a pre-nursing student. So just be on the lookout for that and think about that as you look at this. This is why I wanted to really make sure I gave deep details on how you can hack this degree, the pre-nursing part only, because you can't really hack the true nursing. Once we get into this section, there's no hacking. They usually, because of the clinical rotations and you're assigned to your district, when they extend an offer to you to be accepted, they're already plotting and putting you on a calendar and getting your calendar ready. So that's why there's no accelerating when you get into the nursing portion. But as long as you are in the pre-nursing portion, you can accelerate all day, especially if you're taking it at WGU. You can bring up courses, that's what they call it. You can bring up courses to, a term in the pre-nursing section. Okay. So I hope this has been very helpful. What I will end on is at WGU, not only is the application free, but then they have a free transcript service. So all the transcripts that you need to gather, you can go through their free transcript service to obtain them and get them to WGU. And when I say that, I mean all your universities, your community colleges, but especially if you do the Sophia Learning and the study.com and Straighterline, they already have a partnership. So as soon as you complete your courses that you're going to do there, you just select, yes, I want to send this transcript to WGU through Parchment or whatever their service is, and then you're ready to go. So that's something that I definitely wanted to make sure I showed you, as well as soon as you get on that website, you'll see this like, hey, right before you apply, do this to go ahead and get that free transcript service. Okay. The courses are on here as well, like the breakdown that I was speaking on. You have your pre-nursing courses, you have your nursing courses. If you just wanted to see it on the website versus my Excel spreadsheet that I'm going to have on agelessnursing.com that you can upload and make a copy, you can the copy will automatically generate. But going back to that critical thinking, I think I had like a humanities class and the integrated physical science, as you can see in I think it was anatomy 2. So if I was to bring up anatomy 2 from term 3 and bring it all in term 1, you see that taking out composition and communication, you would have those 5 courses in the first term. So that is one term by itself. Your final term, or I guess your second term, your final term for pre-nursing will consist of these courses: health and wellness, nutritional science, pharmacology, and foundation of nursing. So as you can see, that's 2 pre-nursing terms on top of the 4 terms for nursing. So that is why this college hack would be extremely beneficial for you, and I highly recommend it. So we've already gone through this. To compare the cost here, so the pre-nursing, no matter how many classes you have, pre-nursing is $8,755. That is the exact same price for the nursing. So if you have to take 2 terms for pre-nursing, you're looking at a little over 17 and a half, maybe even a little more, almost $18,000 with WGU. However, if we go back to this Excel spreadsheet here, if you do this, and this is 15. So, if we go with our example, this would be a lot less, but look at the savings. Even if we just look at the 15, look at the savings for 2 terms that you're getting, and look at the timeline, a little over 2.5 months. You're done with these courses instead of entire year. Cause I just gave you an example of 2 terms and they're each 6 months. So if you were to do at WGU, the 2 terms, that's an entire year that you putting off getting into the nursing portion. And again, I just recently accepted, of course, WGU, but I recently was extended an offer at a very prominent Texas public school that I actually turned down because I had to think about it. Because I have to work, I have to provide for my family. I need a WGU. I need that flexibility to be able to focus on one course at a time. So the way our advisors, our program mentors register our class, they set dates. And you see here I have the entry and exit date, so you can just know when your term's going to start. But literally, like this class, they build it out like a month out, or I think she ended up doing 2 weeks. My program mentor is awesome. I think she ended up doing 2 weeks because she said that critical thinking should only take me maybe a week. And then you have nutrition. Nutrition, I think she built out for a month, but I think my goal is to try to get nutrition done in 14 days as well, no more than 20 days. And then you have pharmacology. So it's just like I'm focusing on one course at a time. That is based on me already experiencing my health condition or health situation, temporarily health situation at I almost said the name, at the other university and trying to juggle work and trying to juggle home life and all of that. I gotta tell you, I'm so excited to do just one course, focus on one course, give it all I have, and let's go to the next one, and let's go to the next one. Like that is gonna be so much better for me. And so I would say definitely consider all of these factors when you are transferring in. And another caveat I will call out, I know this video is probably long now. Let's say you do want to do a nurse practitioner program that WGU does not offer, because they do have, a nursing program, a nurse practitioner, family nurse practitioner program. They have a master's of science in nursing education program. Um, but let's just say, so if we look here, see you have the informatics, you have the family nurse practitioner, you even have the in some states mental health nurse practitioner. So let's say you want to do like myself, I'm going to do certified nurse midwife. Well, because I know I want to do that, and I know how Texas, because I've had a degree outside of Texas for over 2 or 3 decades, I know how Texas can be. And so what I decided to do, if I go back here, is I decided to make sure I could attend a regionally Texas-based college or university in order to satisfy the Texas core. These are Texas core curriculum for any bachelor's degree. And the reason why I did that is, again, because I know that I'm going to pursue a nurse midwifery program. And I know that sometimes they're like, oh, you don't have the Texas-based histories. You don't have the Texas-based governments. And I didn't, because I didn't attend my undergrad in Texas. So what I ended up finding out is Texas Tech has a online self-paced, just like Sophia Learning, like almost identical, because I was able to get these two courses together done in 8 hours. And then this course I took, it took me, 10 hours, and then I did the second one and it took me another, 5 hours to do this. So I was able to knock 4 classes out in less than 10 days. Now, the caveat here is Texas Tech online self-paced program is very it's structured very well. So it's on Canvas, and it's just like you're attending regular school. There's no papers, it's just straight exams, quizzes, like chapter quizzes. However, I will say it is expensive. One course is a little over $1,000. So that's something to consider. There's other programs, and I like this guy on YouTube. I think his name is Ryan. It might be called, it's Ryan. I'll have to put his video down below. But he was the one that got my mind around that, thinking of, okay, I do know I want to go beyond, because as you're looking at, progressing from WGU, these Sophia Learning courses and study.com courses may not transfer to a CRNA program. And if you take these sciences with them and you know for a fact you want to go and do like a nurse practitioner or some program that's not at WGU, that you might want to consider something like a local university that has self-paced, and it is tied to their, your transcript is not going to say self-paced, it's just going to say you have, 5 classes from Texas Tech. And I actually made the president list. I'm like, hey, I have never even seen that before. But anyway, sorry, just thought about that. But my transcript says I attended Texas Tech University, even though they were the self-paced, similar to a University of Massachusetts Global or Purdue Global or something like that. It's just University of Massachusetts, like my transcript says that for my sciences. So I would say definitely, as you're planning, right, think about those factors as far as if you're going to go to the next step. Then, we have education, we have leadership, we have informatics, but we also have, the ability to do the family nurse practitioner and the mental health nurse practitioner. And I see that it's available in some states, but that is something I would just go beyond, just in case you are interested. Okay. Other than that, I know this video has gotten extremely long, so I just wanted to end on that note. I will, like I said, shout out to Major Mash Alex. I will be posting this spreadsheet on ageless nursing, as well as I'll just put a link to that site on the video below, the description below. I'll make sure you all can have this discount code for study.com from Alex, as well as I'll make sure that you can download and see the sample checklist, the main checklist that you can fill in, and then the main tracker that you can fill in to say, okay, yes, I'm gonna transfer these, or no, I'm gonna take them. So you can at least have all the information that you need right here at your fingertips. So it's gonna go deeper into the admission process and how that worked, and what my tips and tricks are for that. Okay. Well, until next time, be blessed, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one.